Hello, everyone, and welcome to Awards Buzz. I'm Abe Friedtanzer,
And I'm Sari Cohen.
I'm Shadan Larki.
and we are here on Emmy nominations morning. We all had a great time watching Cheryl Lee Ralph and Tony Hale announce the nominations. We hope we're as excited as they are, and we're going to go through some of our most exciting picks, some of our disappointments, and some other general observations. Who wants to start us off?
First of all, can I just point out, I don't know if you guys watched the live stream as it was going, but all the love for Taylor Swift and Lady Gaga. The fans just I'm like, are we watching the same thing? It was funny. Yeah.
Now I'm disappointed that I didn't see that. I just want to start by saying good morning to Emmy nominee Jonathan Bailey. I like as soon as I saw Fellow Travelers, he was the one performer that I was like really rooting for above all else, and I was like, well, maybe they'll think that he's just like frothy Bridgerton guy, and they will. So when they announced it, I'm just so excited. That's my favorite nomination. So.
I was happy to see some love for fellow travelers, about exactly what I expected, because the only category that I got right completely was best limited or anthology series. And across the board, there wasn't that much of a surprise with all of those races, though I'm still disappointed. Excited as I am for Lamorne Morris, who's great. Fargo, I thought was really, really terrific this year. I would have loved to see Sam Sproul, Joe Curie, and some other people nominated. And that sort of, I think everything performed almost exactly as expected, including Baby Reindeer, which got 4 acting nominations, which is the most it could have gotten. And even though that's clearly the most celebrated, it was True Detective, Night Country, that ended up with the most nominations of all those races, which was a bit unexpected.
Wild. Yeah, I do feel like as we were watching it, it was expected. Although there were some obvious snubs, you kind of wanted them to just keep listening. But what about this was good, but what about like I was bummed to not see Loki. Loki was a great series that, that kind of and on the other hand, I was really happy to see all the love Palm Royale got. That was one of my favorite shows. Fallout as well. So yeah, it was well done. And a big applause to Cheryl Lee Ralph and Tony Hill because they were such a joy. They were such a joy.
Yeah, I was so happy to see both Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph get in. Like, I thought maybe one of the Apple ladies would get in and not both. And then they both got nominated for guest performer again. So I'm glad that they've been grouped together. That made me really happy.
Well, this was a really wide open year because there were so few shows from last season eligible. And it was interesting to see something like The Gilded Age, which last season got 1 nomination total, do pretty well. It still didn't do all that well. No Morgan Spector nomination, just, Christine Baranski and Carrie Coon, but pretty well. Slow Horses, which again did nothing in the past, now is up for a bunch of stuff. So it's interesting just to see how that happens. And Reservation Dogs was, I think, the best one people were excited about, even though Devery Jacobs is not nominated. I think there was a tie for one of the comedy, the lead categories, because I thought there were supposed to be 5 nominees in each, and we ended up with 6. So that was, I thought I had done fine with my predictions, and then there was an extra nominee, which was great. But it's nice to see Reservation Dogs and Matt Berry for What We Do in the Shadows, the first actor from that show to be nominated, which is pretty surprising because it took so long. I'm not sure what it was about now, but he's always quite entertaining.
Mhm. Well, What We Do in the Shadows is it I feel like it's such a beloved show among the critics and people who actually really it's so underrated. So yeah, it's good to see. And Slow Horses, I mean, Gary Oldman is phenomenal. That show is it deserves it deserves some praise. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if you guys agree. I was, as Abe mentioned, there's a lot of shows that didn't come back, so I was curious, how those slots were going to be filled. And I think they did a relatively decent job of going outside and like picking other things. I mean, Reservation Dogs, Fallout, Idris Elba getting in for Hijack. Mr. and Mrs. Smith did really a Three Body Problem getting in there was surprising to me. So I feel like maybe they made room for a little bit of like genre that they wouldn't have but then they also went back to something like the morning show, which overperformed by my estimation. So I'm kind of curious, like, what do you guys think of the overall spread of nominees?
I enjoyed it. I think you nailed it with what you said. I was really excited to see Three Body Problem nominated, and that was kind of a shock. Because again, it was one of the shows that I had watched and it was just like, this is such a phenomenal show. So you did, it got it, you got it on both ends of like these really lovely surprises and performances that were great and felt like they should be winning. And on the other hand, yeah, you've got that and like Only Murders, which is a great show, but yeah, and the morning show is kind of the expected. I would be shocked if they didn't make the cut.
Well, it is the first time that the morning show got nominated for Best Drama Series, and the first time that Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston both got nominated because it was 1-1 in the past. So that's sort of interesting. I think we've had this the past few years with Succession, with Ted Lasso, with The White Lotus, all these shows that just sort of take so many nominations in the supporting categories. And I'm pretty thrilled. I think Nicole Bahari, I think Karen Pittman, Colin Farrell, Greta Lee choices, and I'm happy they're there. But it would have been nice a little bit more to see some love spread out. I also don't know what it is about Only Murders this season that suddenly caught on with everyone because it's always done pretty well. But this is Selena Gomez's first nomination, long deserved. I'm glad she's finally there, but I don't know why. It was the third most nominated show this year, and I don't know what it was about season three that really took everyone the same way, and like Jane Lynch is not, there's some inconsistencies. And much as I love Paul Rudd and Meryl Streep, I don't think this is their best work necessarily. I wouldn't want to say anything bad about them because I think they're both great in general, but I think I don't really, that was a bit of a surprise to see Only Murders do so well this year when it's done fine in the past.
Yeah.
I think we saw a lot of nominations that maybe were on the cusp years before and it was just too crowded and they were able to finally break through. No disrespect to any of those people. I just think like the openness led to some people that we may not normally see.
Yeah, I feel like you with the cast, it's such a star-studded cast and every one of those actors is award worthy in their own right. So kind of having them all together on one show, I think makes it a little bit overwhelming in a good way. So it deserves it. I mean, it also was up there as one of my favorite shows, but again, I wasn't surprised. Like when I saw Selena's name, I was like, it's about time, you know?
Can I tell you another show? Sorry, I'm looking because I just wrote, like, ferociously wrote a bunch of notes. But a show that I was really surprised to see overperform was Feud. I didn't think the second season, I really liked it because that's just, I love Truman Capote, but I just didn't think that that season was as well received. So to see, like, Treat Williams, amazing nomination, get in, like, I was just so surprised that, um, Diane Lane got in. That was probably one of the biggest shocks, just like of a happy surprise, but a surprise nonetheless.
I predicted Naomi Watts and Chloe Sevigny, who did not get in because Diane Lane did instead. Um, the fact that it didn't get nominated for Best Limited or Anthology Series to me is still like, well, they didn't love it. That said, there hasn't been a very good history that where like Normal People and all these other shows that really should have been nominated, didn't necessarily get in. So I don't know what to make of that. It wasn't exactly my cup of tea, some of it, but I do think there were some Russell Tovey, some great actors in that. And so I think nominating the performers is very worthwhile. I think say what you will about a lot of Ryan Murphy projects, he's able to work with a lot of really great actors.
Yeah, if we can stay on limited, there were again a lot of shocks for me in that realm. I oh my gosh, now I lost my train of thought. But like Lewis Pullman getting in for Lessons in Chemistry, I was nervous about Lessons in Chemistry because it came out a while ago, so I didn't know if it was still going to be top of mind. But that made me really happy. Seeing both of the women from Baby Reindeer, I thought maybe they would do one or the other. I didn't think that they would do both, so that was really exciting. And I just ferociously wrote supporting male anthology is crazy because there was a lot of people in there that I was like, oh, this person got in, this person got in. So yeah, I think the limited categories may be my favorite categories just in general because it's so stacked, more so than comedy and drama in my opinion, and a lot of interesting choices.
They are hard choices this year. Like for me, it's best supporting actress in a comedy series was up there of like I cannot imagine you've got Carol Burnett, Hannah Einbinder, Cheryl Lee Ralph is in it, Meryl Streep. Like how do you I can't imagine. is gonna walk away with that one. Just so much talent.
Won't have Abby Elliott, which is a real disappointment. I think for a show, The Bear I thought would get 15 acting nominations, it got 10, and I guess that's pretty good. If 10 is a disappointment, you're still doing pretty well. But Oliver Platt's not nominated. But I think Abby Elliott really was such a key part of this season, so that was a disappointment.
Yeah.
But I do want to go back to Limited for a second. The Sympathizer, I thought was a really cool show. Got exactly one nomination for Robert Downey Jr.
Mm.
So it's disappointing that the Vietnamese cast is not there, Sandra Oh's not there, and more importantly, we actually did an interview for Awards Buzz with Vincent Van Dyke, who is the prosthetic makeup designer, and I'm shocked that that was not nominated. He's actually nominated for Fallout because he did so much work on so many other shows, but I think that was pretty surprising because Robert Downey Jr. is excellent, but there's so much more to that show. It's one of those things where I hope that people see him and then discover the show, and I think Emmy voters didn't seem to do that, which is too bad. But I hope that everyone out there watching will go back and check out a little bit more of this really cool show.
I'm not surprised, unfortunately. I just feel like for some reason the Sympathizer nobody was talking about it, which is so, I mean, it's very unfortunate. And I just felt like they were gonna name check Robert Downey Jr. and that's what happened in the end. But I agree. I hope people do check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of been like that since the beginning, since the show debuted. So yeah, I'm not surprised by it at all, but agree with both of you.
I'm also sad to see the TV movie category. Most importantly, the dismal statistic, which continues, is that every movie nominated got exactly one nomination, which means there's nothing else worthwhile about them, according to Emmy voters. We used to have all these TV movies that were in all the categories, but even someone like Tony Shalhoub, or anyone from Red, White, Royal, Blue, all these people would have been, Scoop got nominated, but Rufus Sewell didn't, who did this amazing performance. And so it's not that I think the category should be gone because I think it's great, but I wish there was more. I thought Musica was great. I really hoped that would get nominated there. And so I haven't seen Unfrosted. I haven't heard great things. I'm not sure it's necessarily Emmy worthy, but I can't say that because I haven't seen it. But I would have loved to see TV movies sort of show up in a bigger way that I don't think they ever will again.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's such an interesting category in terms of showing us where TV is headed because like 10 years ago, as you mentioned, it would be so stacked and all these performances would get in, and now I feel like we've shifted so far into the limited series as far as like that being the dominant aspect of that. And yeah, Unfrosted, I mean the probably the biggest groan of like really we did that, but they name check sometimes and that's okay.
Yeah, I would agree. I totally Unfrosted. I thought it was delightful, but yeah.
Well, before we move back to the regular series, just two more notes on the limited anthology series. Under the Bridge really didn't show up very much, which was sad. I think Lily Gladstone is great. I thought Riley Keough would be right there with her. I don't know how they were both supporting. Maybe that was the problem. Though I'd also argue that Jessica Gunning is not supporting in Baby Reindeer. I think she is very much a lead, and so we have no control over that. But I would have liked to see Under the Bridge in more categories. Also, Carla Gugino, I think is really terrific, and I was hoping that the fall of the House of Usher, genre as it may be, would finally be her chance because she has never been nominated for an Emmy despite so many terrific performances. And if you watch that show, it is quite the performance is because there's just so much involved with her.
The Mike Flanagan like Netflix shows just in general never performed well at the Emmys, and they're some of my I mean like not exaggerating, some of my favorite TV of the decade. So I'm not surprised that it didn't. I think that was one of those things where I'm always secretly hoping those shows are gonna break through, and I thought maybe if there was like a little bit more space this year it would have, but that yeah was really disappointing. But yay Lily Gladstone. I'm never gonna be mad that Lily Gladstone's name pops up anywhere, and I was really excited to see her.
Yeah, Under the Bridge was a phenomenal series. She deserves the nomination. Riley as well was fantastic in it, but yeah, that was one that I would have hoped would have performed better.
Crown is an interesting statistics for me because season 4 it dominated, it won almost every award it possibly could have. Season 5 it got almost nothing, just Elizabeth Debicki. And this year it rebounded, but uh, Salim Daw and Khalid Abdallah both not nominated for playing the Fayeds, which are very interesting characters. And also, there's an interesting. Imelda Staunton was snubbed for season 5, and the other two queens have all won for the second seasons they've been in. So while that's a competitive category, and you have Shogun, which we haven't talked about yet, even though it's the nominations leader, I do think it's worth statistically watching out for an Imelda Staunton win for playing this, really iconic role.
Mm.
Yeah, I unapologetically love The Crown. Like, I know the 60th season probably wasn't the strongest one, but I just enjoyed watching it. I just finished it, so it's like so fresh of mind for me. Um, so I was happy to see Dominic West, Jonathan Pryce, a two-time nominee this year because he also got in, I think, guest actor. But yeah, and then Stephen Daldry coming back for directing is really fun. The biggest shock of The Crown for me in terms of nominations is Claire Foy coming back for what I think is like a minute long performance, or maybe a little bit
And
like
she
five. I don't even know. A very
and she already won the last time
yeah,
for a very short performance.
exactly. When I watched the show, I said they're not actually going to nominate her for 5 minutes, and then they did. So as we mentioned, they do love their name checks sometimes. But
Mhm.
again, can you be mad to see Claire Foy's name pop up anywhere? I don't know.
Yeah. I also noticed a complete shutout for The Curse, which is not a show I really got into, so it doesn't bother me. I've only heard great things. I was ready to catch up and watch more of it. I'm not going to rush to do that right now because I have plenty of other TV homework, but I am very sad to see exactly zero nominations for Ghosts, which is a show that I would have thought could have showed up in a lot of different places. I also know that Chris Perfetti and Lisa Ann Walters still remain unnominated for Abbott Elementary, so that's a disappointment. I am very happy though for Paul W. Downs for Hacks, who
Mhm.
I think is absolutely terrific, and great to see him nominated in the supporting actor category.
Oh, absolutely. I Hacks also Jean Smart. I feel like she's gonna take it. My gut tells me that she's it this year. It's hard when you were saying that. I was still playing catch up because I didn't even realize it's all these things of, oh yeah, this wasn't nominated and that wasn't nominated, and we were saying just like furiously taking notes when all the information came in. I didn't even realize Ghosts until you said it now, and it's another one of you hear all the nominees and you go right, 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 and then what about? But yeah, what about Ghosts? Like and that show is showing up everywhere. The actors are really I feel like they are finally picking up some speed and getting the just the buzz around the show that it deserves. So, yeah, that's I'm sad not to see it up this year too.
Maybe we can submit it in the drama series category next year and I'll take the morning show slots. People will be confused.
Abe, I was just gonna say you should watch The Curse. I really liked it. I thought Emma Stone, and until you mentioned that, it completely skipped my mind that I didn't see it anywhere. But I really thought Emma was going to get in. And I mean, there's so much that I haven't seen, you guys. Like, I need to catch up with Amazon slate. I haven't seen Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That did really well. I haven't seen Fallout. So I have a lot of homework to do too, and I'm very excited.
Fallout is I was shocked actually by how great that show is. I would recommend I do think like if I were to pick my top just even two of the year off the top. Well, three. All right, I would go with three. I would go with Fallout, Three Body Problem, and Palm Royale. Were probably three shows like at the top that I would recommend to anyone. Just worthy of a binge watch. It's that good, whether you're a fan of the genre or not. It's just that good. Yeah.
Well, with our last few minutes, we didn't touch at all on the reality or variety categories. That is not my forte. All I want to say is that I'm happy to see Alex Edelman nominated for writing for a variety special for Alex Edelman Just for Us, streaming on Max. And that is about all I can say about those categories. So I'll ask each of you if you have any thoughts about those, since I don't pay attention nearly as much as I should to them.
I just want to say that The Traitors has been one of my favorite things to watch this year. I have seen every season, literally the international seasons. I've watched them all. Just anytime I did not want to deal with the world, I'm gonna watch The Traitors. So seeing that nominated and seeing Alan Cumming get recognition for hosting just made me really, really, really happy.
I do love that. I haven't seen The Traitors yet, but I am a big fan of reality TV, and that's one also that people are like, you have to watch that show. And I love Alan Cumming. I'm happy to see The Voice get nominated. That makes me happy. For me, I'm more of like a Love is Blind, Love Island gal. I love the dating reality shows. So yeah, I probably would have liked to have seen something a little more along that lines because I feel like, well, yeah, I don't know the best reality competition series I'm looking at right now. And yeah. Yeah, reality, you could get lost. Reality TV is like a whole other world to get lost in.
No judgment here. I like
Mm.
binged The Bachelorette yesterday, so I'm
Yeah.
right there with you. I'm like, give me all the trash. Like I like to balance my sort of prestige TV with some, fun stuff. Mix it all up.
I have to go
One of
back
the
now. Oh, go ahead.
Nope. One of the best things about the Emmy nominations is that there are just so many categories and plenty of below the line things that I haven't had a chance to look at yet. There's music and lyrics, main title, theme music, all this other stuff to explore. I also haven't had a chance to tabulate how many Emmy nominees this season we've already interviewed at Awards Buzz because we've done so many, and I just haven't looked through that yet. But for anyone watching, get ready. We're going to have so much more coming soon, and just stay tuned to Awards Buzz over the next few months as we get fully into Emmys Phase 2. Thank you both so much, and I'm looking forward to more conversations like this.
Thank you for having
Yeah. Thank you.